microphone. Okay, so for the purpose of the roll call, anyway, I'm bringing this meeting to order. Our Alaska SAF annual business meeting, May 17th, 2022. And I'll just go ahead and read who I've got on the screen. So I've got Andrea Watts, got Bob Derlin, Ryan Kleinhens, Clay Hoyt, Josh Holte, Bob Dalrymple, Melinda Olson, and Charlie Singh. And then in the room, got myself, Ed Morgan, Jeremy Dowse, Tom St. Clair, Adam Davis, Dan Reese, Roger Burnside, Chris Simpetus, Chris Maish, Chris Schneff, Beth Schultz, Paul Mackey, and Terry Baker. Did I miss anybody? All right, very good. Got the same formatted agenda as our monthly meetings. A few things thrown in. So are there any announcements before we get started? Go to the order. Okay, hearing none. I sent out the April 12th monthly meeting notes. Do we have a motion to approve those? Jeremy Dowse has moved to approve. Roger Burnside seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the April 12th meeting notes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. They are approved. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Good deal. Anybody have the agenda in front of them? Okay. We're going to start with our board of directors. Chris Neff, D1 representative report. And I got to hand him the mic.
Most of what I would report on is in the written report I sent out at the end of last month. But we're still looking for a District 1 student rep that doesn't apply to Alaska currently. The other things going on in the district, Inland Empire has really been working at refreshing their organization. Been, they had the same chair for 5 years for the state society, and they formed a committee to look at revitalizing the organization. I've been working with them on volunteer position descriptions for the chair-elect, and past chair. And if any of you want to have an interest in that, give me I'll happy to share them with you. One of the things that I just find with a lot of organizations, having a position description, people sometimes don't want to put them together because they say, well, if we tell the person everything they got to do, nobody will sign up, which to me is indication maybe things need to be split up a little bit more. So it's a useful practice to go through just as an inventory in an organization. But the other thing that I haven't seen in some of the other SAF PDs I've looked at is about something that Terry kind of referred to a little bit just a little while ago, was the benefits of taking on leadership positions in SAF. Obviously the new D&O insurance and some of that safety net for the work you do in volunteer positions is really helpful, but also the skills that you develop. One of the SAF PDs I looked at from another state had a list of like 12 to 15 character attributes they wanted to see in the president or in the state chair that would make most of us feel a little bit not up to the task, I think, looking at those. So I made those aspirational and put them as skills that someone would learn doing things. I think that's really true. Regarding other things, on the board, we just had a board meeting in Portland a little while ago, and you know, the state incorporation and those processes are pretty much on track in terms of I think all the states but one have met with SAF's attorneys or gotten documents for the SAF attorneys to look at. So that seems to be pretty good, and it's been pretty well received. I think as all the states get into it more, they're going to discover more wrinkles they have to work with, especially some of the multi-state kind of organizations. But that process is going well. Terry mentioned earlier, I'm not sure much I can add to what the CEO and the national president already just said earlier today. But that's all going well. Been active on the governance committee. We're getting a board. We had a couple interviews for a board coach that would be giving us some insights on ways to improve board function, and we're probably going to be reevaluating how we do some of our measurements of board progress and effectiveness in conjunction with that. Other than that, I don't have too much more to report unless people have questions.
Okay, no questions for Chris. Let's move on to Northwest Office report. Andrea.
Okay, so we've been wrapping up. Oops, go ahead here. This is the last annual meeting that we've done for pretty much the first, sorry, long day. So we're in the process of wrapping up the videos for Washington. We expect to having them posted on their YouTube channel by the end of this week. So we will share the link out with all 3 state societies. So they're welcome to view them. Wrapping up, we will be processing the videos for Oregon State Society. I'm not sure if it's only going to be available on their YouTube channel to the attendees or not. And then it sounds like your videos will be posted on your YouTube channel as well. So we will be processing those in a couple weeks and hopefully getting them posted within a month or so on that. We'll do a quick, I'll go ahead and just do a recap of the budget for Northwest Office for last year. We closed in the red because there had been a snowstorm and I was unable to get to the bank to make a deposit. So we actually had, I had $10,000 worth of checks that needed to be deposited. So we actually, those checks showed up first quarter in January of this year. So this number is a bit deceiving. So what we got, we actually ended up a lot better than what we did, but this is what we ended up with last year. All the taxes have been filed, I believe, for all 3 state societies as well. And then this is the budget that we have approved for this year. Very conservative numbers, knowing that, again, the pandemic is still ongoing in terms of trying to ramp up more revenue for advertising and such. So while we are in the red again, I do expect that we will still break even because I do not use all the hours I'm allocated to do this job. And right now, one of the discussions the committee will need to have in the next year or so is how do we break down, where we're looking at some of the expenses that we have. This is a breakdown of the expenses thus far for 2022. Obviously, contractor services is the largest portion, followed by the Western Forester, which is the printing of it and the creation of it. So we'll need to take a look at some of these line items to see if we can bring down the expenses a bit on that. So again, penciled out, we will be in the red, but I do expect us to be in the black just because we do yield some cost savings over the year. Does anyone have any questions about the budget before I move on?
Did you bake the $10,000 into that 2022 budget, Andrea? The snowstorm checks, they
Yes,
reflected
yeah.
there. So does that
Mhm.
mean that rather than $5,000 in the red, we're $15,000 in the red?
Well, actually, we'll be $15 in the black. because it will be $10,000 in the black, because we'll actually have got more money into the account than what we budgeted for, because it was going to the 2022 books instead. So you're right. Technically, we will be in the black, but in terms of just looking strictly at what we had allocated for, we would potentially be in the red. So yeah, unfortunately, like I said, it was, yeah. And then the following week, we had a bunch of flooding in Grays Harbor. So we just could not catch a break with the weather at all. On that. For the upcoming issue of the Western Forester, the theme is advances in wood manufacturing, but I'm taking a very broad take on that. One of the articles will be on wood preservatives and such. So if there's anything happening in Alaska around wood manufacturing, or new uses for wood, or new sawmills, or trying to develop niche markets for using the wood that's coming off of these field treatments, let me know, because I am looking for an Alaska focused piece to include in the issue right now. So I do expect to have the storyboard finalized by the end of May and all the stories assigned. So like I said, if you have any ideas, let me know, so we can so I can start following up and getting that assigned. This summer, since we're no longer having to build out the website, we will actually be focused on, Melinda and I, improving it. We need to upload all the back issues of the Western Forester, and there's a number of pages that need built out. So that's going to be our priority, is building out the website more in order to flesh out the pages. So in some ways, they're brand new pages that weren't on the old website, or it's old content that needs to be refreshed. So that'll be our priority this summer. Trying to think what else. Yeah, I want to say that's it. So like I said, if there are any pages for the Alaska specific that you'd like to have, again, built out or new content added, let me know, so we can get that in our queue. But yeah, that's kind of what our plans are for this summer. So, and we will be having our Northwest Office Committee meeting in June. Yeah, in June. So I just sent out the meeting notice for that. So if there are any items, any of the chairs want to pass along to Ed, let him know on that. Because again, we will be having the committee meeting here coming up. So.
You have a date for that?
If there's a survey, I asked everyone to confirm which dates would work for them. So we're looking at the middle of June. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Questions for Andrea? Questions for Northwest Office? Okay, let's move on to committee reports. And Ken is not on. So we'll go to the investment committee. Roger Burnside, you have anything to report? Anything interesting happening in the world of investments and stock market, or no? I'm joking, of course, because it's been crazy.
Interesting development today. Last month I reported that I was in the process of moving our portfolio equities to cash. April 14th. Since that time,
Oh, sorry, Roger, could you hold the microphone closer to your mouth? It's hard to hear.
Can you hear that? Yeah.
A little bit better.
So just before the April executive committee meeting, I started moving equities to cash because there had been a significant downtrend. The market went under pressure and was essentially in bear market territory. 2022 hasn't been a good year for stocks. Both the S&P and the NASDAQ are negative for the year, significantly negative. It started the end of March. I watched it continually drop as my own portfolio started to drop. Like I said last month, I tend to manage this portfolio the same way I manage my own. And when it's more than I can bear, and I see that we're heading more to bear territory, they start moving the cash. So that was completed. And since that time, it's April 10th, the NASDAQ has dropped, it dropped 22% since the end of March through today. But since that time, it dropped an additional 10% that we were in cash. There's been 4 rally attempts for significant volume buying with from the previous session, turns the market to a confirmed uptrend, but all of them failed. This is the 4th one. So given the pattern of those failures, I'm going to be very cautious to begin putting money back into the market, which I will probably start just to test the waters. But as of the close today, our portfolio is at 245,481. Just some interesting notes. Our cost basis, the amount of dollars that have been invested into that account from all the accounts, the pool chapter accounts in the state society, is approximately 190,000. So it's sitting at 245. All the pool accounts, in addition to the state societies, Cook Inlet, Yukon River, Juneau, and Sitka, are still significantly ahead of their initial investments. And as many of you probably know, when you're putting money on a regular basis into an investment, your account can really benefit from the compounding of that investment as gains are made. We have not had any additional investments into the account other than the curriculum chapters significant seedling sale. So at the present time, we have in the portfolio, this is percent ownership, the State Society, 22.6%, Cook Inlet, 74.5%, Juneau, 1.1%, Sitka, 0.5%, and Yukon River, 1.3%. But again, they're pretty good at it. They weathered it well. If you recall, back in 2016, I threw out an idea. One of the meetings, I guess we were down in Ketchikan. we took a boat to Ketchikan from Juneau to Sitka. I can't remember. It was right around 2016. I suggested that the chapters could benefit from this investment as well. So I got approval to use some investment club software that my own investment club is using so that we can manage all these pieces of money that went into the account, all the gains and anything put into the account. It manages everything. And in hindsight, that has done pretty well. That's about all I have to say. I think the market is, if you're watching it, don't get too excited about a couple up days. We've had several instances of a couple up days or one and then a down day or two ever since the end of March. So if this uptrend does continue, maybe we'll get back to where we need to be. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And maybe we can talk after the meeting, but at some point or during the field trip, whatever. But I would like people to think about assisting me in this endeavor and maybe help get that body of knowledge so that we can continue this into the future. I'm not going to do it forever. It's nice to have input, but I think it's been very interesting for me, but maybe it'll be for somebody else. I kind of got thrust into this when I reached midlife at about 45. I had a rude awakening that I wasn't going to be able to retire when I wanted to. So I was forced to re-examine what I was doing with my own investments, and I got information, education, and as it turns out, that has been very good for me and our family and some others that I was able to work with, and talk to you about it and visit with. So think about it. I may even contact one or two or three individuals that I've talked to in the past, but I think we need more input into this. Because what Tom Hansen said, what do you call it? Our war chest. And I think that could benefit all of us in the future, and it already has. So give it some thought. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them. We need to move on with this.
Questions for Roger? Roger, the 245,000 approximately is exactly what we had a month ago. So, yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. Look at what the market's done last month. Okay, thanks for doing that. Call me in January when I'm done being chair. I can't do what you do. Membership, I don't see Mitch on. No, Ken sent me an email. Yeah, but Ken mentioned that we have 4 new members since November, all in Cook Inlet chapter. And I think last month, Mitch reported we were up 3, so maybe that's 3 out of the 4. Maybe we got 1 more. So that's good though. We might be getting close to 90 again. We're down to 85, I think. Okay. Does anybody else have anything on membership? The next committee is policy and legislative. Let's see, Brian's on. Do you have anything to report, Brian?
I don't, Ed.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll move on to the scholarship committee. She took off, but she actually sent me an email a week or 2 ago, and I'll just read her email. It has to do with the scholarships, the 3 scholarships that we have. She said the UAF scholarship system is experiencing some hiccups as it transitions to a different online portal from what we've been using these past few years. We were only able to award the Walt Begalka scholarship and only had 2 applicants. For the SAF report, please report that we are awarding $500 to Malcolm Yurkis of Nikiski. His major is natural resource and environment. He's a junior at UAF. He grew up on the Kenai Peninsula and plans to stay in Alaska after college. So we were successful in awarding 1 of our 3 scholarships. I don't know what the hiccup was, but that's what we were able to do. Okay, moving on to science and technology. Jeremy.
I don't have anything to report. Going into the summer, I'll start looking back into doing speakers. Probably not one every single month, just because summer tends to be more busy, but we'll look through it.
Yeah, and we had a good run this winter. I think you had one January, February, and March. Those are well attended and interesting. Okay, again, moving on to treasurer's report. What I can report from Ken is the bank account has $3,197.46 in checking. And then a check donation for $700 from Cook Inlet chapter to cover the state dues that aren't paid by our golden members, which is 20 times $35. Thank you, Kim. All right. Moving on to chapter reports. Anybody want to go first?
I can go first. for Cook Inlet.
Okay, Clay, you got the,
Yeah, Mitch isn't here, so I'm going to give just a little high level interview, and Roger, if he wants to pipe in at the end, go for it. But it's a seedling sale time for us, and I don't know, probably everyone here knows kind of our primary fundraisers, a seedling sale. Started in the 1970s, few hundred seedlings, and now we're up around 20,000, give or take. But we're getting close to, actually, I think we have a site. It's a Chugiak 3 Bears, but I don't think we have a day quite nailed down yet. But as soon as we know that, either later this week or next week, I'm going to start canvassing folks for some volunteer help and bundling and distributing that. But it'll probably be around the 3rd week of June. I guess the past few years, we've been working with the Alaska Division of Agriculture's Plant Materials Center to grow seedlings for our sale. And they had a kind of a rough last few years and some staff turnover and funding issues. And I don't think that, well, I know for sure we're not working with them anymore, and I don't think they can support us. And over the winter, we got an agreement with the Confederate Salish and Kootenai Tribes Nursery Program in Ronan, Montana, which happens to be right where I grew up. So I'm going to go and check them out next week. But yeah, I think we have 20,000 seedlings that should have been sown in the last month or so. So modernizing our sale, our seedling sale with a website and an online store. So the accounting may be a little bit easier, but that won't go live until sometime next next year's sale. But it's kind of an updated system. As far as some of the stuff that we've donated and contributed to, we've supported the Alaska Run for Women, again, by donating several pink crabapple trees, and contributed to the Community Forestry Arbor Day grant. And like Ed was saying in the Treasury report, state society dues to 20 retired gold members. But I guess we're also supporting the prunus replacement program. It's a forestry community council and state stewardship collaboration where they're buying, essentially folks can apply to get a gift certificate to a landscaping outfit to replace their bird cherry trees, because that's been a kind of an issue in town. So as far as direct figures, I don't have much. Roger has those, but that's kind of my high level overview. And Roger, if you have anything to add, go for it.
anybody else have anything to add from Cooking It? Okay, they said good job.
Okay.
You're hired. Why don't you be chair next year?
I am, I guess. I'm chair-elect.
I know. Okay, I'll just pick somebody. Bob Derlin, you're on the horn there.
All right, we had a meeting last week, and on Thursday, we discussed our scholarship and decided to make our final selection yesterday for our Dixon Entrance Scholarship, and it went to a Ketchikan student. It was a tough selection. We had 23 applicants from down here, Wrangell, Petersburg, and Craig, and Ketchikan, and a lot of good students. It was quite a bit different from the last 3 years. Just usually you have a lot of students that just don't quite make it, but man, it was tough this year. They were excellent students. And let's see, we found out we will have a silver salmon derby this year, but only one weekend. And that's where our scholarship money comes from. So not sure what's going to happen there. And some minor items. Last year, we only had 2 people attending our chapter picnic. So we decided to play it by ear and look at it in July. And hopefully we can get more attending, but there's only about 4 or 5 of us around. And let's see. I'm going to be absent for the next 2 months. Jim Tuttle, who still is our secretary, has moved to Port Angeles, but is attending the meetings via Zoom. And anyway, I'll be gone till middle of July, so I'll miss our June meeting. I'll try to catch Al and see if he can attend the June meeting. And let's see, that about covers it.
Okay. Any questions for Bob and it's an entrance? Hey, Pat, I see you're on and I don't think Greg's here. Do you want to say something about Sitka chapter?
Sure, I can kind of cover for Sitka. I was thinking Greg might make it today, but he didn't. And I was actually hoping to make it up to Fairbanks, but just couldn't swing it with my schedule this week. So anyway, glad to join here today. And we just held our 30th annual 5th grade forestry field day Friday, May 7th, a couple of weeks ago. And it was great to finally be back in the full mode with all the students who were all out in the field and had great participation, and it went really well. We even had good weather; it wasn't raining, so it was very successful. The Don Redwood kind of project, we're still, it's kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern as far as we haven't submitted any sort of a Foresters Fund grant or anything. Some of the principal and some of the teachers at Mount Edgecombe have kind of changed around lately, and then with the pandemic and everything, it's been kind of slow getting things moving with them. So we're continuing to hope that we can make something work over there, but we haven't made much progress this past probably year or so. And then we're losing one of our members, Alan Brackley. He's moving back to Maine here this fall, and I'm hoping to gain a new member. We've got a new district ranger here at the Forest Service office. He's not a forester, but I think his background's wildlife, but I'm hoping we can recruit him as a member. And then Carol Goulart, our secretary, I think she's indicated she might be, her and her husband might be relocating down to Olympia, Washington permanently, but I'm not entirely sure she's up here in Sitka right now. But if she does move, we still might be able to keep her as secretary. She's expressed some interest in that. I don't know if we can do that, but if we can, I think she might be willing to stay on as our secretary and call into our meetings and support the chapter remotely, I guess. We're hoping to have a little chapter picnic this July as well. We didn't have one last year, but we're hoping to gather with the folks we do have before Alan leaves and Carol, and get together and just see where things go from there. So I guess that's about it for Sitka, unless there's questions.
Nope, no questions. Thanks, Pat. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Adam.
All right, thanks for that. Yukon River chapter, Dan Rees, our pastor, has completed his 2021 chapter report. We've been pretty active. Ranging 7 to 9 meetings per year, through Zoom. Finally going face to face. Most recently, we had it last month. We also like to brainstorm ideas for CFDs. We've been getting new members that work with the state DNR and the FIA program, and we've gotten one. We can probably get at least one more, and probably another.
Okay, that leaves Juneau chapter. Juneau chapter is still without a chair. Month ago, Josh Holte sent out an email, said, hey, we should get together before the state meeting. So 4 of us met, Brian, Josh, me, and Fabian Kern, and thinking about trying to get a chair for Juneau chapter. The last 3 chairs were Brian, Josh, and me. So that left Fabian. So we all looked at him, and he's on the fence. Like still. That's where Juneau chapter stands. That's all I have to report. We've got a longtime treasurer. Yeah, he just retired from the state. Okay. Anything else for chapter report? Be a quick meeting, which is probably okay, right? Old business. The only thing I have is incorporation insurance update, and I really don't have any update from the last 5 months. So on December, I think it was the beginning of December, we got all the paperwork into Lori Razor for our state society for the incorporation. And the legal team at SAF National is working on it. They've got 30 state chapters to go through. So they're getting through it, but we're just waiting to hear back from Lori. So the D&O, the director and officer insurance, is in place. So that means, in real simple terms, that's the way I think, all the officers are covered from any lawsuits. That's down to the chapter officer. Any officers are covered from any lawsuits that might arise. Go on a field trip with somebody. It's never happened, but it could happen. So anyway, that's in place. Nothing more we need to do about that. The incorporation by each state society, the 30 state societies, that's what the legal team is working on. And there was a really good article in the March forestry source. And that's what I refer to when I have to describe what the incorporation does. I've probably talked about it enough unless somebody wants me to read the paragraph. Okay, I don't hear anybody saying yay. So, it's still being worked on. What did Lori say at the HSD meeting about the timeline? You guys remember, was it going to be by the end of this year? Yeah, that's what I remember. Maybe as early as this late summer or fall. That they start, I don't think they get all 30 state societies incorporated because every state is different, and then the multi-state societies like New England and some of those East Coast states, they've got multiple states, regulations and laws. Yeah, they're going to pick one at a time. What Chris is telling me, so they'll get to us eventually, but it's a good thing. And the initial cost of the incorporation is being paid by SAF National, and then we the states would be responsible for renewals in the future. And I heard some figures thrown around, but I don't think it's very much money to renew. $100, $200. Yeah, Terry's nodding his head. So that's a good deal for us. Anything you guys wanted to add on D&O insurance or corporation? Okay, I think we're all just kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for the legal team. as far as new business, I thought this would be an additional time for Chris or Terry to say anything that you haven't said already. If not, that's fine, but anything that you're not going to talk about tonight or anything you haven't mentioned already that you here's a floor for you. Terry can't pass up a speaking opportunity. He says yes, he can.
So really quick, there was just a couple of things I wanted to bring up. And that is, I know we talked a little bit at the end of the annual meeting about membership. And so what I want to share about that for us with the Together We Rise campaign that Chris mentioned. As an organization, we ended 2021 with more members than we ended 2020. So that is bigger than it seems because we were up, I think, we were at 968 at the end of 2021, and we were at 9334 at the end of 2020. It's only about 24 members. The reality is that we've actually been seeing attrition rates of 200, net losses of members of 200 plus members. So that may seem like 34 members, but it's actually 334 members that we actually gained or retained during 2020. So that's a big thing for all of our members, because that's the campaign that's how the other piece I want to share really quickly is that the certified forester program. 2019, we conducted a survey, to the general membership about the CF program. And since then, one of the biggest responses we got back was they didn't realize that it existed. There were a lot of really clear folks in that CF program, like the CF program. So what that translates to is we've had about double, almost triple the number of applicants to be a certified forester or a CCF consistently. So that program is actually doing really well. My team have been really getting new ways to increase communication with folks as far as transition from CCF to CCF. And also, they just finished up a reinstatement concept. So the CF program is actually doing really well, trying to gain a lot more momentum than when I started. Whether it's concerned about the program,
Chris. Yeah, great.
And I won't talk about this tonight, and I'll keep this real brief, but I just wanted to pass on to the Alaska members, the officers and CEO, Terry, myself, Sam, and Gene have been making a real effort to get out to as many of the state chapter annual meetings as we can. And we divvied that up between us. We get together every couple months and look at the meetings that are upcoming and try and manage it based on proximity, but that doesn't always work based on schedules, just to keep our travel costs down. But I was just in Helena, Montana, but at any rate, since the beginning of the year, we've attended, I think we're up to 13 annual meetings now for different state chapters. So pretty much everyone that's been held, we're either there virtually, if it's a virtual meeting, or one of the officers, or sometimes both Terry and an officer are there in person. And we're just trying to reconnect with the state chapters, or I shouldn't say reconnect, just do a better job of them getting to know us and us getting to know them. And, especially with the restructuring with the business effort, it's great to be there in person, face to face. If there are questions, some states have more questions than others, which I think is a natural part of the process. And we're just trying to be very transparent about what's going on. And this is a team. It's a team effort. It takes everyone to make SAF successful. And so we really redouble our efforts there. So we'll continue to do that. And I expect that will continue into the future. It's always occurred in the past, but COVID really took the wind out of in-person stuff, as we all know. So at any rate, and then I get a chance tonight to speak more. So I'll save the rest of my message for them. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Chris. And yeah, it's really positive thing. It's kind of a boost. It's a big boost for you all to be here. The three of you are from outside. Chris, you're not from outside Alaska, but you're apparently Washington, D.C. now, according to your name tag. So we appreciate you, the three of you, and I'm talking about Chris, and Terry, taking the time to be here. I do have one go back. It's kind of new business. As you know, when we put together this meeting, we wanted to make it affordable because for a lot of people, it's expensive to travel across Alaska, and everything's more expensive now. So we made the registration fees affordable, and one of the deals was I put in for a Foresters Fund grant to help pay for the meeting. Well, as you know, I heard back from Lori, and she said, you got nothing. And that was because she said the Kurt Gottschalk Fund is way more appropriate for what we're doing here. Basically, dissemination of information. So I turned around and got the Kurt Gottschalk Science Fund grant application in by the deadline. And I found out, maybe a week or two ago, that we had received $1,100. It's less than what we applied for. I heard it was pretty competitive this year. A lot of people were applying for that. But that helps defray the costs of this meeting. It wasn't a moneymaker by any means, which we didn't design it to be. We wanted to make it affordable to try to attract more people after 2 years of COVID. So I think we accomplished that, having 40 people, 20 in person and 20 virtually now. So that was a real good deal. And so, yeah, we've got that. And then we had decided, we voted, maybe it was at the February meeting, to make up any difference from the investment fund. So chapters would have to take a hit. We'll get together with Ken and get that balanced out. But yeah, so that's positive. We're successful in gosh, John. You know what? That's about all I have. On the calendar, June 14th is our next executive committee meeting, our monthly meeting. So we'll go ahead and have that second Tuesday. And then we did this last year. We skipped July and August. And unless anybody really wants to try to have a meeting in July and August, I think we should skip it because I don't think we get good turnout and people are busy. So after June, we'll reconvene in September and carry through to the end of the year. So with that,
Who's up to host this meeting next year?
well, last year, it was kind of hosted by everybody. So we skipped last year. In 2020, we didn't have one, period. So where were we in 2019? Anchorage? Well, then it falls to one of the, if we go through the rotation, it falls to one of the Southeast Alaska chapters.
I was just asking. I wasn't looking for a solution today. It's been a
Yeah.
long day.
I'm just thinking out loud, and they said thanks for volunteering. Yeah, that's something we can talk about in the fall, probably. Yeah, I don't want to have somebody, we're not going to have Fairbanks do it 2 years in a row. And Anchorage, there's a possibility if nobody, Southeast, put it bluntly, we're struggling in Southeast Alaska. Sitka has very few members. Juneau doesn't have a chair. Bob, you're doing the best. So you hosted the last Southeast Alaska annual meeting. So I don't know. We'll talk about it in the fall. Good question, though, Brian. Something we need to be thinking about. Bob, be really quiet. Yeah. Yeah, and we can talk about whether, I mean, I assume we could do in person, unless the COVID comes back terribly. But we could do, may want to do another hybrid, depending on what people think, how this one went today. But, half of our people were. So I think we have to seriously consider that for the future from now on. Okay, anything else? Our annual meeting, anything you've been thinking about for a year? Got to get off the chest. Okay, I think people are tired. We had a long day. We had a good day. We can take a break before folks here that are going to the banquet at 6 and get some fresh air. And yeah, reconvene. Hour and a half. Okay. With that, I will close the meeting. Thanks. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Terry, for joining the meeting.